kitchen today, and I'll be making chicken marsala. And it's a pretty standard recipe. It's basically chicken breast sautéed in a wine sauce with some herbs, a shallot, garlic, and mushrooms. And as usual, I'll have the full recipe for you at the end of this video. So let's get started and I'll show you the recipe. For the recipe, you'll need boneless, skinless chicken breasts. I have about 1.25 pounds here. Fresh mushrooms, any type that you like. Marsala wine, chicken broth, a couple of cloves of garlic, a small shallot, and then for the herbs, some parsley and thyme. You can use either fresh thyme or dried. And you'll also need some flour and salt and pepper. And I'll slice up a couple of cloves of garlic. These are nice and big cloves, so I think 2 should be enough. Of course, you can never have too much garlic. And I'll just give it a whack. And peel. And you can either slice or dice it up. I think I'll use thin slices. And I have 1 shallot. And I will peel it. I'll take off this little end right here. And you can see there's 2 pieces in there. I think I'll start with the larger piece. And I've left this end intact, and what I'll do is just make some thin slices. And then I'll just go through and slice it up, dice it a little bit. And leaving that on just kind of helps keep the shallot all nice together. And I'll just put that in my little bowl with my garlic. So it'll be all ready to dump in the frying pan when I'm ready. I have my thyme all washed and dried on a paper towel. So I'll just pull out a few sprigs. And to get the leaves off, all you do is pull the leaves off in the opposite direction of which they're growing. And then you might need to pinch off on the end. So just pull it. Sometimes they're a little stubborn. And then I'll just give that a little bit of a mince. And again, you can use dried thyme. And I'll just push my thyme out of the way and chop up my parsley. Again, I've washed and dried it. And I just kind of bunch it up and chop. Okay, and then I just run my knife through it. And I'll just put the parsley in a small bowl. And that will be used as a garnish for after the chicken is cooked. And I've washed and dried off my mushrooms. And I will slice them up lengthwise. And they're kind of thick, somewhat like you would buy them if you bought them pre-sliced. And by all means, you can buy your mushrooms pre-sliced. I just happen to have these whole ones. My package contains 2 chicken breasts, so at this point I want to pound them out and flatten them up a little bit. So I just have a piece of plastic wrap on my cutting board, and then I'll top it with another piece. And then I'll use my metal mallet. It's pretty heavy duty, and then I'll just pound it over the plastic so it doesn't make a big mess until the breast is nicely flattened out. Now it's all flattened out, and what that does is it helps the chicken to cook more evenly in the pan, and it also tenderizes the chicken. And I'll repeat that same exact thing with the other chicken breast. Now I'll remove my plastic wrap. And I keep a cutting board to use strictly for meats. And there's a little fat here, and I'll just trim it right off. That looks pretty good, and then I'll check out this one. And I will slice each breast in half lengthwise. And I'll salt and pepper each piece, and I did wash my hands before I did this. And some pepper. And I'll put a couple of large spoonfuls of flour in a pan. You can use a plate as well. Actually, I'll go ahead and do 3. And more salt and pepper for the flour. And just stir that around. I have a large skillet. I will put some oil in the pan, and I just kind of pour it until it covers the bottom of the pan really well. And I'll put that on about a medium-high heat, because what we want to do is brown our chicken pretty quickly. Okay, I have my chicken and my flour brought over right next to my stovetop. I'll take one breast at a time and dredge it in the flour. Get a nice coating on there. And then shake the excess off. And I'll just put it right down at the end of my plate there. Do the next one. Dredge it really well. This one has a little piece hanging, so I think I'll just pull that off. I'll actually cook it as well. And then the 4th piece. And you do have excess flour. I always tend to use more than I need, but I just like to have a little extra to dredge that chicken in. My oil is nice and hot. Now I will place my chicken. Be really careful here you don't burn yourself. It's been about 4 minutes and you can see that beautiful color. So I'll go ahead and flip the chicken over. Okay, and I will check, and it has some really beautiful color on this side, so I will remove it out of the pan onto a plate. Okay, now I'll add some butter, about a tablespoon. And this adds some nice flavor. I'll turn my heat back on. To about medium. Okay, I'm adding my scallion and my garlic. Whoops, lost a piece there. I'll add a little salt and a little pepper. And I'm just scraping the bottom a little bit to get some of that flavor. And I'll add my mushrooms. And they look a little dry, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more butter. Put that right in the middle. And add just a pinch more salt to the mushrooms. I have 1 cup of the Marsala wine. I'll dump that right in. And I'll just let that cook for about a minute or so. I have my chicken broth, 1 cup. And to that I'm going to add a heaping tablespoonful of flour. And I'll stir that up. And I'll dump the chicken broth with the flour right into my wine and mushrooms. Okay, it's just starting to boil. I will add my thyme. Give that a little stir. And now I'll add my chicken right back into the pan. Nestle it right in there. And the chicken will finish cooking now in the sauce. Okay, you can add a little bit more butter for a little flavor. At this point, you would taste it for salt and pepper. You can put it on your serving dish. And add the parsley, a generous amount. It really adds a nice flavor. I like to serve this with a side of pasta, or my very favorite is garlic mashed potatoes. And then a green veggie, usually something like broccoli. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.